In a world driven by innovation and economic prowess, two powerhouses, India and Indonesia, have emerged from the vast lands of Asia. These nations, with their rich histories and diverse cultures, are now engaged in a race to become the fastest-growing economies of the 21st century. But who will emerge victorious in this exhilarating contest? Will India's massive workforce and ambitious reforms propel it to the top? Or will Indonesia's untapped potential and strategic investments lead it to claim victory? Join us on an exciting adventure as we explore the fascinating competition between India and Indonesia in a race to become the fastest-growing economy in the world. India, located in South Asia, is known for its vast land mass and rich cultural heritage. It's bordered by the Indian Ocean on the south, and on its western coast, it is close to West Asia, Africa, and Europe. Indonesia, on the other hand, is situated in Southeast Asia and holds a remarkable distinction. It is made up of over 17,000 islands, forming the world's largest archipelago country. These islands stretch across a vast area between the Indian and Pacific Oceans, creating a breathtaking tapestry of tropical landscapes. India and Indonesia share a common connection. Both countries are located in the Indian Ocean region and are part of important regional organizations like the Indian Ocean Rim Association and the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. These organizations promote economic and strategic cooperation among member countries, fostering partnerships and collaboration. Moreover, India and Indonesia share a maritime border along the Andaman Sea between India's Andaman and Nicobar Islands and Indonesia's Aceh province. This proximity enhances their relationship and facilitates trade, cultural exchanges, and diplomatic ties. Strategically, both countries are situated at the heart of the trans-Indian Ocean routes, which serve as vital links between the western and eastern parts of the world. The Strait of Malacca, one of the most significant shipping lanes globally, connects major Asian economies such as India, Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, Vietnam, China, Japan, Taiwan, and South Korea. It acts as a gateway for trade and commerce, shaping the economic landscape of the region. For many years, these developing countries have followed a successful formula to become wealthier. They moved workers from farming to better-paying jobs in factories, produced goods for export, and saw their economies grow rapidly. This approach worked wonders for countries like South Korea and Taiwan in the past, and it even lifted 800 million people in China out of poverty. But things have changed. Today, this strategy is losing its effectiveness. Many countries have transitioned into rowdy democracies, instead of being authoritarian states like South Korea and Taiwan during their industrialization. Moreover, export-led growth is under threat due to protectionist measures, and factories are relying more on robots than human workers. Among the top 10 emerging economies, India and Indonesia stand out. These Asian giants together have a whopping population of 1.7 billion people. What's interesting is that the median age in India is 27, and in Indonesia, it's 29, making them younger than China, where the median age is 37. The youthfulness of their populations adds a dynamic element to their economic prospects. All three countries have experienced steady growth over the past decade. China's economy has been growing at an impressive average rate of 9%, while India and Indonesia have achieved growth rates of 7.7% and 5.5% respectively. However, China's economic growth is expected to decrease to 4.5% next year, says the International Monetary Fund. In contrast, India and Indonesia are predicted to have the fastest-growing economies among the top 20 economies in 2023 and for the following 5 years. This means they're likely to surpass other major economies in terms of growth, showing a significant shift in the global economy. However, achieving this growth will be challenging due to reduced global connections, automation taking away jobs, increasing tensions between countries, and changing energy sources. The success of India and Indonesia is crucial not only for their people and investors, but also for other developing nations seeking progress in the future. At first glance, India and Indonesia seem to share many similarities. Both have popular leaders elected in 2014 and facing elections next year. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Indonesia's President Joko Widodo began their careers locally, and are praised for their accomplishments. Both countries saw fast economic growth in the past decade, with India's GDP increasing by 71% and Indonesia's by 52%. The service sector is vital for growth in both nations. Their economies are open, with trade accounting for 40% of GDP and foreign investment making up 1.5% of GDP. However, the majority of workers in India and Indonesia work informally, about 90% and 60% respectively. Their governments have smaller budgets compared to developed nations, with public spending making up only 30% of India's GDP and 18% of Indonesia's GDP. While Indonesia's gross national income per person is $4,180, while India's is around half that amount. Both countries are classified as lower middle income economies. However, there are differences between India and Indonesia in 5 key areas: infrastructure, manufacturing, leading export sector, industrial policy, and geopolitical position. Indonesia has built 18 ports, 21 airports, and 1,700 kilometers of toll roads under President Widodo. India is constructing 10,000 kilometers of highways annually and has a comprehensive national digital infrastructure, including a biometric identity system and a national payment system called the Unified Payments Interface. India has a bigger and growing tech sector compared to Indonesia. It has famous companies and is known for software development, outsourcing IT, nuclear technology, and space programs. A good infrastructure is important for economic growth. It helps with services, manufacturing, and attracting foreign investment. India and Indonesia want to be global manufacturing hubs. In the past, they saw growth in manufacturing, but it declined in the last 20 years because of political and economic uncertainties. Vietnam became a popular place for low-cost manufacturing. Some companies are avoiding China because of business and political reasons. India and Indonesia can attract manufacturing investments that are moving away from China. But so far, there haven't been many results. Apple has more suppliers in India than in Indonesia. Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand, and the Philippines also have more suppliers than Indonesia. India is a big exporter of technology services and ranks 5th worldwide. Its engineering skills, mobile data, and tech infrastructure have helped startups grow. India benefits from the shortage of software engineers globally. On the other hand, Indonesia's advantage is its rich natural resources like coal, palm oil, iron, steel, and nickel. But relying heavily on exporting raw materials can be risky for its economy. Indonesia is expected to become a top producer of green commodities used in batteries and power grids. In 2021, India's tech services made up 17% of its exports, while commodities accounted for about 22% of Indonesia's exports. Both countries aim to support their economies by helping the private sector through industrial policies. India's policy, One Nation, One Standard, focuses on supporting startups, creating innovation zones, and establishing top international brands. India has 108 unicorn businesses, the second highest in the world. Indonesia has fewer than 12 big companies and wants more investment, offering $30 billion for industries like semiconductors. Indonesia plans to focus on its natural resources and has multinational companies build refineries locally. They banned the export of certain materials like raw nickel used for electric vehicle batteries. The number of nickel smelters has increased from 2 to 13, with plans for 30 by the end of the year. Indonesia aims to produce electric car batteries with a capacity of 140 GWh by 2030, similar to global production in 2020. Both countries need foreign investment to grow their economies, but geopolitical tensions can affect the flow of money. These tensions can harm the financial sector, leading to financial instability. Restrictions, uncertainty, and money outflows caused by these tensions can increase risks for banks and their funding costs. The positions of India and Indonesia in relation to China and the United States will affect investment and trade for a long time. Indonesia has a balanced relationship with China and Western countries, but it relies heavily on Chinese investment, which makes it vulnerable to China's influence. China has invested a lot more in Indonesia than the United States, particularly in infrastructure projects like a high-speed train that has faced delays and gone over budget. If Chinese companies face sanctions, it could harm Indonesia. On the other hand, India is cautious about its relationship with China due to frequent border conflicts that increase the risk of a major conflict. China has escalated tensions by developing infrastructure, deploying military forces, and attempting to encroach on Indian territory. These dynamics have implications for India's economy. In 2020, India stopped Chinese apps like TikTok and investigated Chinese companies Vivo and Xiaomi. This showed India's desire to attract Western companies. The United States sees India as an important partner against China. Foxconn, a Taiwanese company that makes iPhones, got approval to build a $1 billion facility in India. This is a big chance for both countries to grow and advance technologically. However, India and Indonesia have common problems like favoritism and corruption. These problems limit opportunities and keep small businesses from succeeding. According to corruption rankings, India currently holds the 85th position, while Indonesia ranks slightly lower at 96. To improve living standards, both nations must invest more in essential sectors like healthcare and education. These investments are crucial for ensuring a better quality of life for their citizens. Both countries rely on specific industries and utilize informal economies or government programs to redistribute wealth. However, the effectiveness of these approaches depends heavily on the ability of their political systems to handle the social pressures arising from such economic disparities. The journey ahead for India and Indonesia involves navigating the complexities of their economies, addressing corruption, and implementing measures to promote social welfare. By doing so, they can pave the way for a more prosperous and stable future.